Hey there, we're going to look at benchmarks for estimation for adding fractions. Every time when we're adding fractions, we are going to look at each fraction and decide if it's closer to 0, 1/2, or a whole. I'm going to do several examples, and then I will actually show you with an addition problem how I would estimate it. The first example I'm going to look at is 5/8, and when the denominator is even, it's a little bit easier of a problem to do, but one thing I focus on is I focus on a number line, and I make 1 section, 2 section, 3 section, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if I call the bottom 0, then each piece is 1/8, so this would be 4/8, which is equal to a half, and then 8/8, which is equal to 1 whole. And then I look at where 5/8 would be on this number line. It's right here, and I say, oh, it's definitely closer to a half, so the estimate I would use for 1/8 is 1/2. These next two examples are a little bit more difficult just because the denominators are odd. I kind of think of, you could look at equivalent fractions, or you could still think of the same process as we did before. I have a number line that I have 0 sevenths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sevenths. So I call this 0. This is 7 sevenths, which is a whole. And there isn't a half tick mark, but what I do is I go 1, 2, 3, and I put a line, and this is 1/2, because it's halfway between 0 and a whole, and I see where 3 sevenths is, and then on this number line, it's fairly easy to see that it's closest to a half. The next example, 7/9. Again, I draw my number line. I have 0/9, 1/9, 2/9, 3/9, 4/9, 5/9, 6/9, 7/9, 8/9, 9/9. So this is 9/9, which is a whole. 0/9, which is a half. 0, sorry, we know it's not a half. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. This, again, is going to be my halfway point. And 7/9 is right here. This is, I can see 2 spaces away from a whole and 2.5 spaces away from a half, so it's closer to a whole. So for this one, I would use 1. In the previous example, I would have used 1/2. We're going to estimate 2/3 plus 5/8 using benchmark fractions. I'm going to first look at 2/3, and 2/3 is 0, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, which is a whole. This is 0, so this is a half. I mark 2/3 on here. 2/3 is much closer to a half, so I use 1/2 as my first piece. Then we have the 5/8, so I have 0/8, and I write 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. So that's 1 whole. This is 0. This is a half. 5/8 again is closer to a half, so I'm going to do half plus a half. So I'm thinking my answer is going to be approximately 1. However, I know it should be bigger than 1 because on both of those I rounded down. Thank you.